Hello again. My name is Kelsey, and I'll be your moderator in this session today. Quick reminder that we will have time for a brief live Q&A after the presentation, so be sure to use the Ask This Presenter tab to ask questions and engage with your fellow attendees. And now it's time to welcome Stephen with Illumina to the stage for their session, Transforming Manufacturing Data, Illumina's Journey with Apache Iceberg.
Pleasure to be here, everyone. Thank you for having me today. So, hello, everyone. My name is Stephen. I think some of you who were on the on-site summit yesterday may have seen me walking around. I was very happy with the attendance and got to see some amazing content yesterday. I'm really excited today to talk a little bit about Illumina's journey with Apache Iceberg. We'll go into more of the background of what Illumina is. I don't think everyone has heard of who Illumina is, but for us, we are a genomics company. We'll go more into details on that in a bit and kind of talk about our journey with Apache Iceberg for the past couple of years and how we've kind of navigated it internally here. So kicking it off, for some background, for those who haven't heard of Illumina yet, we are a global genomics and human health leader, innovating more in precision health. So we develop the technology ranging from DNA sequencing all the way to array-based life sciences to help researchers, governments, hospitals, pharmaceutical companies. The list is pretty limitless. And with our technology, what we really work on and empowering with folks is the ability to ultimately unlock the DNA. We're based in San Diego, so our headquarters are down here in San Diego. I actually just flew from San Francisco this morning, so was able to make it in time and happy to present from San Diego. Right now, we're around 9,000 employees globally, so we are a pretty big company filled with amazing, talented scientists and engineers to help make all of this possible. And our CEO is Jacob Thayson, who is leading us to the next generation of how we are unlocking the genome. So Illumina has been around for a little over 20 years, and we've definitely grown very quick over the years as a company. And as we grew very quick, we'll go into details of why we ended up choosing Apache Iceberg very early on in our adoption. But for our mission statement, we always want to keep pushing for innovation. Our mission really in general at Illumina is to improve human health by unlocking the power of the genome. That's our sole objective as a company, is to build a technology to enable the ability to further unlock the genome and really see what we can leverage that ability to understand more of just the human DNA, but beyond that, also even some of the DNA in other lives out there in the world. So one of the technologies we provide today, you may have seen them in the market. If you're in the life science industry, we provide a long range of tools that are flexible and scalable for many different purposes. We serve as novel pathogen IDs and drug-resistant characterizations. That's been recently very popular with us. We also build technologies to help with clinical assay development, pathogen monitoring, and genomic surveillance. So one of the most recent examples we've had a couple years ago was COVID-19. COVID-19 was actually sequenced through our technology. So from all the initial sequencing of COVID and understanding the entire DNA of COVID and also understanding how COVID just behaves and its strains and all of its potential growths and patterns, this was ultimately done through us. We've also built technology to help with hosting genetics and immune responses, and a lot of the pharmaceutical companies out there have also used our technology to help build some of the vaccines that was helping fight COVID. So a lot of our technology, although we may not have been in the very forefront, our technology was being used by a lot of these amazing companies, governments, and research facilities to help understand how to approach COVID and how to solve COVID. So we're the enablers, and with that technology, we're able to help bring that to reality with the life science space. So our technology is pretty straightforward. We build the secret sauce, but what we do and provide for universities and governments, as well as pharmaceuticals and universities, they provide the samples, and our machines do the magic, as well as our software. So what they simply do is they prepare the samples, load those samples in, and then the rest is kind of beyond that point of what they want to be able to utilize those analytics for. And for us, our analytics kind of range from many places, from reproductive health to genetic disease, oncology. We're also seeing it being applied for research and applied genomics for many research institutions. Of course, we just talked about COVID with infectious diseases. we're also seeing a huge trend around drug discovery and customized drugs as well within the industry, where folks want to be able to create drugs customized based on compatibility of your DNA or someone else's DNA. And then, of course, multiomics is also becoming another popular factor that's starting to come into the world of genomics that Illumina is actively working on to help provide those services. So as we grew as a company, we were able to service a lot of different abilities, not just surveillancing COVID and building that technology, not just creating tools for companies like Ancestry.com, but we're also seeing just huge growing trend also just for hereditary risk assessment, early detections, therapy selections. A lot of this technology is being used by a lot of great companies, and they're utilizing this and adopting this technology so quickly in the industry for us. And as I mentioned, Illumina's only been 20 years. So as we grew as a company, so was the demand of how we could leverage genomics in this entire space. So it's really great for us. It's really amazing to see what these companies, these scientists, and these brilliant minded people are using our technology for. And as we grew as a business, we also had to grow some of our capabilities internally to make some of those dreams a reality. So from a data perspective, you can imagine just building all this technology and providing all the services, whether we're building instruments, we're building the kits and reagents, the tools, the software, and even providing the services. You can imagine our data is just a huge wide range of different kinds of data. We got data all the way down from the organic chemistry level, all the way to the semiconductor engineering space. We also have data in the supply chain space because we are still, at the end of the day, a manufacturing company. We manufacture products that are used by all of these institutions. So of course, just having that wide range of building all this stuff in-house here in San Diego and of course around the world, you can imagine this data was just very large and vast. So that was one of the things that we saw as a company as we grew further and further, and we were starting to build more unique models and unique solutions for some of these institutions. We were definitely going a wide range of our data. So as one person has ultimately said it, is we are also seeing a continued growth of isolation within our databases. That was one of the things we saw here at Illumina, was as we grew as a company and as we were trying to answer and address a lot of these genomic needs and these questions, we were ending up with a lot of isolated systems. For those who work in the life science or the manufacturing space, you can understand that when you have something baked over in the organic chemistry space or something baked in the semiconductor space, or if you wanted to be more general, imagine running a Mexican restaurant and also imagining running a sushi place back to back, thinking that they're going to be the same. But in reality, their operations and their data is actually different behind the scenes. And we were also in that similar point at Illumina. And especially as our demand grew during COVID, as we were growing even further to even address some of the needs we were seeing with agriculture, custom medicine, we had a lot of isolated data points. And that was a good and bad problem. The good thing was that we were servicing our customers very quickly. We were able to address everything. But as you can see, when you have this much isolation, there could be a lot of complexity. But we want to emphasize something at Illumina that is very important to us. Someone said this one day: complexity is baked into Illumina's business model to service the endless innovations of scientists. So we know that having these endless unique sources of data, but also having these unique solutions to provide to the scientists, that's really what Illumina's model is really baked to be. We address so many different solutions out there in the life science space today, during COVID, even before COVID. So as we grew as a business, we knew that this was going to be a complex business. And we're proud of it because we're able to address the needs of everything ranging from universities all the way down to pharmaceutical companies to farmers. Any farmers who want to assess their cattle and understand which cattle has the best genes for milk, which plants have the best capability to be bred where they can actually handle droughts. So a lot of the global warmings we're seeing and the climate changes we're seeing a lot of farmers come to Illumina asking what plants should they be growing, what cows should they be breeding, to be able to provide the best and most sustainable solution for not just their local farms, but also for their even countries that we're starting to see right now in today's world. So unfortunately, though, from an analytics perspective and to answer questions and to continue growing our solutions, we were seeing an isolation and digital waste increase. So that's one thing we saw especially after COVID. During COVID, we were what we would say in an emergency room mode is the nice way to say it. You can imagine an emergency room, you would probably see a lot of things all over the floor. The goal back then for COVID, and I think everyone knows this, was to figure out what COVID was. And Illumina was in that same situation as well. And as COVID was solved, and COVID is no longer new news, it's old news, we look back and we kind of realize, wow, we had a lot of isolation, a lot of digital waste built up. We were building one-off code. We were building duplicate data sets just to solve a problem very quickly. We were seeing a huge need of real-time analytics for some of the solutions that we were building. And we were just left with a huge tech debt of just custom servers. We had hordes of servers, all from SQL servers to Postgres. We've had MongoDB servers. We had random Python scripts, you name it. We had this giant tech debt that we were seeing. And as COVID was sort of winding down and we were able to take a bit of a breather, in 2023, we realized that there could be something out there that we can use to unify all of our data into a singular format. And that's where I believe Apache Iceberg came in at the perfect time. A few people told us a couple years ago that Iceberg was going to be the new big thing. And we were so happy to listen to that advice. And we were so happy to be part of this journey in the past couple of years to watch the entire Iceberg community grow. We joined in Iceberg during V1 and we just watched it just frolic and grow and learn for so many people. And that's kind of what really led us to be successful today in our tech stack of moving all of our data into one singular storage. So the past couple of years, we decided to use this breathing opportunity after COVID to take all the systems, all the things we have from synthetic chemistry all the way down to the semiconductor space and just unifying it into one storage. And we achieved that. The goals we wanted to achieve with that was, of course, number one, the ability to do easy cross data exploration. That was one of the biggest objectives we want to achieve with Iceberg. I'm sure many people know this. And when you have isolated servers, it is very difficult to yank one data set here, one data set there, and mash it together. It ends up becoming difficult. You run into lineage problems, duplication set issues. So we wanted that singular way where if we stored everything in one unified format, not only are we owning this data and removing us from a vendor lock-in from all the many vendors we were seeing, but we were able to enable us to have this unified cross-data exploration and discovery. The other benefit we wanted to gain out of Apache Iceberg was the ability of its data sharing collaboration. We are excited to see how that goes with the growth of the V3 REST API catalog and where Iceberg goes in V4. But even just V1 and V2, we were super excited because we were owning our data. All that data we own in Apache Iceberg, but we were able to easily share that information with a lot of other folks within our organization because we owned that data, which allowed us for flexibility and agility for our new systems. So whenever we were continually onboarding new labs and new systems to help support new problems today in genomics, like I mentioned before, we're seeing a lot of growth in agriculture right now. So how do we support our agriculture business? So what's great with the Apache Iceberg open source format, with everything being moved there, we've created this really good standard where any new lab we bring in, we can already embed that already into Apache Iceberg with all the things that we've been doing in the past couple of years. And because we own that data and we own that storage, what's also really nice is just the ability that we could really just feed real-time data into Iceberg because, again, we own that storage. We're not vendor lock-in. We're able to have all that data come in near real-time, or however frequently we want. And then lastly, the huge benefit we just saw with Apache Iceberg was, of course, as I mentioned before, we just had so much legacy code. So unifying all of our data into one standard method, one standard pipeline to just start retiring some of the legacy codes we had was also just a huge factor for us as well. We'll go a little bit more into detail in that in a bit. So what we decided to do was take more of a general approach. We wanted to, first off, get rid of all the one-off scripts and all the one-off codes and get all of the raw data into Iceberg. I would say not all of the data, but we wanted to get all the data that was very important to us. So we did pretty much the ELT route for us. We decided to extract all the raw data from our systems, load them into Iceberg, and then we ended up doing a lot of the modeling on top with Snowflake and dbt. So with our manufacturing systems, we looked at our root manufacturing systems, identified the ones that were very important to us, assessed the tables that we felt like were very important, and then utilizing Apache Spark through a platform called Cloudera, which has been a phenomenal partner the past couple of years. We've been working with them. We've been leveraging Cloudera's technology with Apache Spark to grab all that data and integrate that data all into Iceberg in a very secured and governance way that where we still own that data. So utilizing that technology and that wonderful partnership we've had with Cloudera over the years, we were able to leverage Spark and get all that data fed into Apache Iceberg and write that in there. And then also managing that metadata all within that singular space. And as we grew our Apache Iceberg tables and we're slowly moving everything into this Iceberg data lakehouse, utilizing Snowflake's growth and integrations with Snowflake Connect, and now it's becoming eventually Polaris, which we're very excited about. Leveraging Snowflake, we were able to own our data still, have all of our data still owned on our side on AWS S3, but still utilize all the features of Snowflake that Snowflake has, such as Snowflake itself, Cortex, and all the other abilities that you have with dbt and governance and data lineage. We were able to still leverage all of that enterprise technology with our own data that we own. So with the partnership we had with Snowflake, we were able to achieve all this great stuff that they were building around that product to where all of our data was sitting in Iceberg. Snowflake just simply was able to become super easy for us to integrate all that Iceberg data straight into Snowflake. So we were very happy with that. We're very happy to see even yesterday all the vendors that showed up to the summit. It just shows how powerful Apache Iceberg is and how easily adoptive it could be. So for us as a customer, we were very excited because we know that we can own our data, but we can leverage all the amazing technologies that Snowflake has, the amazing technologies that Cloudera has, and the other vendors have, while also keeping control of our data in one single open format storage. So we were very happy about that. And ultimately, that led to a massive reduction in our TCO and flexibility. So that was really great for us just because now we were able to move everything and start eliminating some of our old legacy pipelines and servers and have everything there in one spot. So in the giant tech stack of everything, we've also looked at other methods to continue getting data in Iceberg. So that was one of the other things that we got excited about over the years, especially as V2 came in and as V3 is slowly trickling in, we got really excited and decided that we got to keep pumping the rest of our data, keep pumping new systems, keep looking at other systems, not just our databases and our normal softwares, but can we bring in our streaming brokers? Can we bring some of our IoT sensors into Iceberg? And that's been one of the amazing things we've been achieving is that Iceberg is just one big open storage format. It doesn't matter if your data is coming from an IoT sensor. It doesn't matter if it's coming from a lab software or a machine learning model. Being able to store all that data into that unified format was just a huge win for us at Illumina. It really helped us unify all that data quickly, but then also leveraging some of the enterprise spaces and tools that are out there in the market. We're hoping to see as Iceberg grows and as the metadata kind of grows over the years, we are hoping and excited to see where data governance goes and lifecycle management goes. We are, of course, looking at how Polaris is growing with Snowflake and Dremio. We're also looking at all the other solutions that are being built around the REST API catalog. So we're very excited about that. We're hoping that as that kind of grows and gets more sustainable, we're going to start migrating some of the more back-end homebrews that we've had with Iceberg syncing into Snowflake and leveraging more of the REST API catalog. So very excited about that. And just a huge shout out to these vendors who have just been great partners with us. Iceberg was new to us. And I think for many people who might be on this call, Apache Iceberg might still be new to you. And I do want to emphasize that without some of these partnerships and experts within the Iceberg community, we wouldn't be here today. So just want to give a huge shout out to these vendors. They've just been extremely great partners. I totally recommend them. Very passionate community. We would not have been here without the amazing support and partnerships we've had with them. So I hope the community understands that. And I think you'll even see that as if you were at the summit yesterday, or if you plan to go to future Iceberg summits, you will see a very passionate community that loves to see everyone succeed. And I've never seen something where a lot of people are in the same room and they all want each other to succeed on this project. So it's really great to see, and we're very excited to see that. And as we were growing with Apache Iceberg, we started even just seeing just the benchmarks of how well compressed Parquet was running. So these were some of our benchmarks. Do note this was before variant, so I want to make sure I clear that up. So of course, numbers look great. We were seeing phenomenal compression with Parquet. That was actually one of the things that we saw in optimization performance was some of the original data sets that we had where we really saw just a great compression rate. And we're hoping and we're really excited. We weren't able to publish these numbers yet because we're still working on it. But once variant type is kind of moving into our space with the JSON set, we're hoping with variant on V3, we're going to be able to see even a deeper compression. So we didn't want to release those numbers yet because we're still working on the variant types for Iceberg V3. But once we have those numbers, we'll be more than happy to decide to show that compression rate. Right now, just plain JSON right now, JSON into Iceberg and Parquet, it's performing pretty good. Even 59.5% is pretty good. But I think with the variant type that was announced yesterday and discussed in some of the workshops today and yesterday, we're really excited to see that number even go even further down. So huge shout out to the community that was working on that whole piece with Apache Iceberg. Huge shout out to the Snowflake community, the Databricks community, the Cloudera community, and all the other contributors to that whole entire ability with Parquet and Spark. It's definitely make things a lot easier for us. So just want to give a shout out to those individuals and those groups, just because really this would not have happened without this amazing collaboration we saw with them. So we're hoping to see these numbers go down, and hopefully in the next coming months when we present our benchmarks, they're going to be a lot lower. So hopefully we're super excited to see where that goes. And then now what we're going and moving into with our partnership with Snowflake is, now that we have all of our Iceberg tables within one space, we're now able to go really deep into our modeling, our schematic layer. So Iceberg, of course, is building more around views and materialized views. We're very excited to see that, but we are leveraging Snowflake for a lot of our warehousing on top of Iceberg, and it's been great. You saw the benchmarks from the previous slide. When you have that great compression, you'll see quicker querying time. You also see quicker processing time, and Snowflake has done a great job where, as we ingested all of our data, all of our different points of data for our science into one singular lake, we were able to do a lot of great cross-driven analytics. So one of the things that we're referencing and utilizing Snowflake for is to optimize some of our customized beat chip development. This is being used to address and understand how fast can we respond to more custom orders for custom medicine, custom diagnostics. We're starting to get a lot of demand coming in for agriculture projects. So how fast can we develop our beat chips to be able to help farmers, be able to help hospitals, be able to help research facilities, to be able to get them the customized technology they need to do their research. And we're able to do all that utilizing Apache Iceberg, and then doing all the analytics, all that schematic layer with Snowflake. And we're hoping as Cortex grows and the LMs grow, as we kind of grow our foundational data layer and making sure our foundational data layer is really solid, really set, we're really excited to see where machine learning can possibly come in to help optimize some of our further questions we may have from a supply chain side, a business side, or even from hopefully one day a chemist or an engineer side. So very excited about that. And because of the power with dbt and Snowflake, we were also able to just still continuously retire a lot of legacy code that was written in R. We had scripts written in Groovy. The list is pretty long. But with some of the SQL wrappings that was built around Spark SQL, some of the SQL wrappings that Snowflake has incorporated with dbt, we were able to move a lot of that modeling in there. And with dbt's lineage tracking, we were able to even go deeper with some of our governance that we're slowly building up here at Illumina. So the lessons and takeaway that we want to give to other companies is that if you do plan on moving to Apache Iceberg, we strongly emphasize this whole rule of junk in, junk out rule. We were also part of that reality where we moved very quick as a business. We wanted to service every kind of customer that came to our door and be able to answer that quickly. But of course, there will always be bad or questionable data. So if you are planning to integrate Apache Iceberg and utilize Iceberg as your raw data lakehouse or your raw open data lake, we really recommend utilizing this opportunity like we did to take a step back and assess if all these tables are important. We started with over 5,000 tables. We've assessed over 5,000 data sets ranging from the petabytes all the way down to the megabytes. It was a long list of tables ranging of different data sets, all from different parts of sciences that you can imagine to help support these projects. And we were able to whittle down and assess 8,000 tables down to around 850 tables. Still a lot of tables, but I want to also assess that a lot of the junk tables that we did not need were just like basic logs that were not useful. We also had like weird audit tables from softwares, weird binary format things that just weren't relevant. So for us, we didn't want to replicate everything one-to-one because we knew that if we just copied all of our junk into Iceberg, then we would run into the same problem we're in before. So again, if you're going to look into Iceberg, definitely use this opportunity from a business perspective, a lean perspective, and a sanity perspective to really assess the data that you feel is valuable and data that you should prioritize in Iceberg. Because if you move everything in Iceberg without really assessing it, you're going to run into the same problems you ran into before. The other takeaway we want to get culturally, we've started Iceberg in 2023. It is a culture change. If you have not been exposed to the Hadoop world or your company hasn't been working on the open source world, it definitely takes time to adopt. I know even at the summit, there's still a lot of people even just learning what an open table format is. And it's not something you learn tomorrow. It's not something you learn overnight. Apache Iceberg does take time for everyone to understand. It's not because it's complex. It's just a very different approach that was built geniusly by the community to unify our formats. So we understood that it takes time to adopt. We can say that because we started this in 2023 and we're still teaching people at Illumina what Apache Iceberg is. We're still growing the project. We're growing as we see new improvements to Iceberg and how can we show this to peers, not just within Illumina, but also showing this to other peers within the genomics and the life science space. So don't be frustrated if it seems confusing at first. It's definitely a huge reward to learn. It does take time to fully understand, but as I want to mention on the last bullet point is the Slack channel is amazing. We probably wouldn't have been able to move quick, again, without the partnership we've had with Snowflake, the partnership we've had with Cloudera, especially from the very beginning with Cloudera, and the partnerships we saw within the Slack community. The Slack channels are very busy. There's a lot of different sections ranging from Rust to Kafka Connect to Snowflake to General Python to General News. The folks who are running that entire Slack channel is doing such an amazing job. I really encourage everyone to utilize that Slack channel because it has a lot of rich content. And you're also seeing a lot of great work from a lot of the social media side from folks like Alex from Dremio. You're also seeing amazing work from Jason Hughes from Snowflake, some of the amazing work that Vince and Dojang are doing from Cloudera that are creating very good educational content on YouTube and other avenues to help even just get people familiar with Iceberg. When we started Iceberg in 2023, there wasn't as many YouTube videos, there wasn't as many videos to learn this, but it's crazy. I just was on YouTube a couple days ago, and if you type in Apache Iceberg, there's just lots of videos now. So the community really wants to see each other successful, and I think that's something that I've never seen before in my career. So if you ever feel concerned or feel like you have any questions, there will be one very passionate developer who would be able to answer those questions. And I think that's where you'll see that success in Iceberg, and that's what we're super excited about to see within the entire community of Apache Iceberg at Illumina. So as I've always gone with this quote, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. And I think that's a quote that's very strong that I saw yesterday, that I've saw in the past couple of years, and we're seeing that grow very quickly within the community. So if you have any questions, always feel free to ask me, and feel free to ask peers within the Iceberg community. You can learn a lot from peers from the supply chain space, peers from the AI space, you name it. There's a lot of different industries on this project, and it's just been a great journey for us. If you wish to learn more about Apache Iceberg or wish to learn more about how Illumina has gone deeper and deeper into this, always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can always reach out to me on Slack sometimes, but most of the time we would be available through LinkedIn. So that will be available. And again, just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for listening to us. Want to give some time for any questions that some of you may have, or if not, thank you for taking time out of your lunch for those who are in the West Coast, or for those who are late in the evening in Asia or early. Thank you for listening to me. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm excited to see where Apache Iceberg goes.
Thank you so much, Stephen. We do have one question, and we'll see if you let me go back to it. It just looks like somebody was asking if you had any upcoming features that you could share on for everyone here today.
So we have a lot of our chemistry data stored in JSON. We're planning on adopting that variant type that was announced yesterday. It's also been mentioned today. There's been some great talks around that. So I definitely encourage folks to check out some of those sessions. We didn't want to get too technical because there are a lot of good sessions that were done by Apple, done by Snowflake and Dremio and Cloudera that actually go into detail how those features work optimally. we're very excited to bring in variant. That's one of our biggest focuses right now, is to adopt the variant, because that's going to help further compress and optimize our JSON result data. So we're looking forward to that. I totally encourage you all, when you look at the agenda and some of the recorded videos, to check out some of the V3 features and the variant types. That's something that we're very excited about, and we're bringing in to the new Iceberg V3. And then, of course, REST catalog with Polaris, as well as Unity format. There's definitely a lot of great content out there. That one we're slowly moving into, just because we're trying to see from a V4 perspective how metadata is being handled from a long-term sustainment side. And I know Ryan has hit on that subject very hard yesterday, that metadata management is very critical. And we're seeing that because we have over 800 plus Iceberg tables with endless metadata. So we're also really excited to adopt the REST API catalog. We're experimenting right now. We're still juggling and providing feedback, but that's also some of the other features we're looking forward to further optimize our Iceberg Lakehouse. So hopefully that long answer answered a few questions, but yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So it looks like that's all our questions for today. Stephen, thank you for being a part of this and joining us today. We really appreciate it. As a reminder, all of the sessions will be available on demand within an hour of the end of the event. And then up next in track 4, we have learnings from running large-scale Apache Iceberg table management service with a couple of our speakers coming your way. So see you there. Thank you.
I think there's one more question actually from someone.
Did we get one more?
I think so. I think we got one more.
You know what? We did. It looks like, okay, let's jump into that. So it says, you mentioned that you're starting to explore methods of direct querying outside Snowflake. Can you share?
Yes. So we have a wide range of teams at Illumina. So for us, we leverage Snowflake as our analytical front end, but we do have some developers who want to leverage tools such as AWS Athena. So that's why we thought Iceberg was very important for us. So we're not just doing manufacturing analytics. We also have software developers. We also have people building business, like high level KPI reports. So what we wanted to achieve with Iceberg was not just having Snowflake as our only option. Although Snowflake is providing a lot of the core analytical warehousing that we're doing in Illumina, but we also want to have the ability where we're not vendor locked in. So that way, if another team wants to use another analytical platform from the same data, that is why we want to explore that. We don't want to restrict any teams that want to take this data and do any R&D development, potential opportunities for the business. We want to make that data open and available for any analytical engine. So that's why we wanted to look at the ability with Iceberg to have that no vendor lock-in. So great question. Can someone type the new format here, JSON the variant? That's what the caption said. I think that's, I'm trying to understand the question.
Yeah.
I think if the question is asking what is variant type, I don't think I'm gonna have time to go in detail because I can get very technical about variant type very quickly. I'll look for the video link. I think there is a good list that has it. If you want to learn more about variant type Lance, there is a very good video that was done. There was a good recording done yesterday. I believe someone from Apple also spoke on variant types in high detail and how that was built in V3. But if not, feel free to reach out and I can get you to the right thing, or I can talk to you on the side in very high detail as well what variant type is.
Sounds perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for being a part of this, and we'll see you guys in the next session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.